Hello, medieval history students. Mrs. Pascogan here. Today I want to talk to you about the feudal system in medieval Europe. As you know, you're comparing knights and the samurai in this project, and the knights were a member of medieval Europe in a system called the feudal system. So you're going to learn a little bit more about that in my 6E lesson for this week. So your learning target is I can explain the rules of the feudal system in medieval Europe. Okay, so I just want you to think for a second about living in a society where you are never allowed to leave the land where you were born. So wherever you were born, that's where you had to stay for the rest of your life. You're bound to it forever, and so are your children, their children, and so on. How would you feel about that? You may say, well, that's not fair. I want to be free to come and go and do what I want to do. Wrong. Not if you were living during the Middle Ages, during the era we are talking about. During this time period, if you were a serf, this was your life. You were bound to the land forever. Europe followed a social hierarchy with 4 major groups. You could think of them as a pyramid with the king on top as the most powerful and the serfs and the peasants at the bottom, the least powerful. They were all intertwined and dependent upon each other. So here's that pyramid I'm explaining. So this is what you're going to learn in this lesson, the feudal system. The kings at the top, followed by the nobles, the knights, and then the serfs and the peasants. The serfs, as I said, were the ones bound to the land forever, which you're going to learn more about. And here's a good image of this. So you get a look at the castles and the kings up there with all the power, and then you have the peasants or the serfs just working the land. But they all were dependent upon each other. And you're going to learn in this lesson what they all did for each other. Okay, so they were interdependent. Okay, so you are going to, it's the same formula as always. You're going to do a read, watch, and do. You're going to read this article about the feudal system to learn more about the daily life of medieval Europe and the hierarchy of these different classes, the roles they all played. And you're going to watch this brain pop video that explains the system of feudalism. And I put the username here, CPDLF, and then the password is student. And then you're going to study the flashcards on the key terms of the feudal system that I'll put the link in here. And then you're going to explain what was the feudal system in medieval Europe. You're going to write that just right here. And then to assess what you've learned about the feudal system, complete the Brain Pop quiz. Then the elaborate. This is what I want you to do. So the year is 1015, so I just picked a year. And you are a medieval peasant. Or you could say you're a serf. You're a peasant or a serf. Write a journal entry describing your daily life. You must include a discussion on your daily work and living conditions. This must be at least 1 full paragraph, a minimum of 5 sentences. Please no shorter than 5 sentences. Be sure to speak in the first person using I statements. Include your own personal feelings too. And you might have to do a little more research on peasants and their daily lives, and specifically what did they live in, what did their homes look like, did they have a happy life, what type of field work did they do, and etc. So you might have to do a little more research there, but then when you're ready you can just start typing right in this section here and that's where you can put it. And then you can go ahead and fill out the self-assessment as always and answer this reflection question at the bottom. Just answer it right there. And that is this week's lesson that I am giving you. And then this information is good because it helps you complete this week's checkpoint on the expectations of knights in feudal Europe. So this is the same formula as the way these lessons have been going. So you will look at these documents. So this one is all about the knights. So the question is, what were the expectations of knights in feudal Europe? So you can see how my lesson will help you with this. It's one piece of the puzzle here. But this is going to get more specific and you're going to have to use the documents here. So this one's on chivalry, codes of chivalry, chivalry in the church. Okay, so make sure you read through here. And as you're reading, you want to highlight evidence about expectations of the knights in feudal Europe. Okay, so again, that's your focus throughout. Okay, what were their expectations? Remember, we talked all about this idea of the honor code and the code, the way they should act. Because remember, the big picture here, you're going to compare and contrast the expectations of the knights versus the expectations of the samurai. So that make this be your focus here as you look through the documents. And then you're going to use that to complete the graphic organizer. Pretty much this is kind of what most of these checkpoints ask you to do. There's documents and then a graphic organizer. So again, what were the expectations of knights in feudal Europe? And then you're just going to copy and paste quotes that show the expectations of the knights. Summarize that quote in your own words. And what do you think this expectation says about what was valued in feudal Europe? Okay, so then after that, you will then complete this checkpoint. What were the expectations of knights in feudal Europe? So in this box, you're going to answer this in 1 to 4 sentences. And you're going to answer the question, what were the expectations of knights in feudal Europe? And again, you're getting all that information from those documents. And so we want to see that you can pull the right evidence. So you're going to put for quote number 1, put the resource number that you got it from the documents, copy and paste the quote, okay, from the evidence chart you did, and then explanation of how evidence supports your answer to the supporting question. So we want to know, how does that show, how does that prove what you put here about the expectations? Okay, so it's never enough to just put your evidence out there. You also have to explain your evidence. Okay, so if you have any questions, you need a little extra help with this, I am always here to help you. Send me a hangout, send me an email, but I'm always here to help. And just so you know where we're going after this, so you talked about the samurai last week. This week it's about the knights. And then you have another checkpoint on the purpose of social codes. Then you're going to have another one, inquiry argument prep, then personal values and consumer activism, public service announcement, and then you're going to get to your final product. So I just wanted you to sort of see where we're headed here. And then in addition, you'll have my 6E lessons with those. All right, so I'm here if you need any help. You guys have a wonderful week.